So in this video, I want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. Today I'm repping my Joyce shirt, so that's my last name, Joyce. Aaron Go Bragh. So for me personally, St. Patrick's Day is a significant holiday. It's because as a Roman Catholic, being born and raised in a Roman Catholic environment, especially in an Irish Catholic environment, with my dad being 25% Irish, with the last name Joyce, many people around the country and around the world, most people don't know the true history and the biography of St. Patrick. And what gives me the right to talk about this in this video is because 3 years ago, this June, I went on the Young Ambassador program to Northern Ireland. And this program was a fantastic opportunity and experience for me as a young person. I was 24 years old at the time, to go to Northern Ireland for free for 2 weeks, an amazing privilege sponsored by my Irish Catholic organization, the AOH, and the St. Patrick's Center. They came together as a coalition to help send myself and other young people in our early 20s to Ireland, specifically Northern Ireland, for 2 weeks for free. So the St. Patrick's Center, for all yins that don't know, is organized and run by the director, Dr. Tim Campbell. Fantastic, amazing person. So while I'm talking in this video, I'm going to be putting up pictures over here of my amazing 2-week experience in Northern Ireland. But as you're looking at the pictures over here, I'm going to talk about the biography and the life of St. Patrick himself. So Dr. Tim Campbell is an expert on St. Patrick. And of course, at the St. Patrick Center, we learned a lot about the biography and the truths about St. Patrick, because there's a lot of myths and there's a lot of legends about St. Patrick. And a lot of people, especially in America, they believe that St. Patrick was Irish, and he was not Irish. St. Patrick was born in the year 387 Anno Domini. So 387 AD. So for that context, that's 387 years after the birth of Jesus Christ, if you're a Christian. But regardless, I don't care. It's Anno Domini, AD. So he was born in 387 in Roman Britain. So Great Britain, Britannia. That's the Latin name for Britain. He was a Roman subject. But being born and raised in Rome, in a Roman, sovereign territory, he was raised in a life of privilege. And he was, higher up in Roman society. But when he was about 16 years old, Irish pirates from Ireland, basically Celts, or, pagans, non-Christian folk, these slave traders, these slavers, they came over from Ireland to abduct people in Great Britain. St. Patrick was the unlucky one to be enslaved at 16 years old by these Irish pirates. And this was very common. This wasn't just the Irish. This was everybody. Everybody for thousands of years was enslaving each other. So this isn't, look what the Irish did. No, this is everybody. But the Irish kidnapped St. Patrick, and they brought him from his homeland in Britain over to Ireland. And that's where he would live from age 16 to age 22. So for 6 years, he lived as an Irish slave, a slave to the Irish. But while he was there, he was able to learn the culture, the customs, the language of the ancient Celtic ways, the pagans. But when he was 22 years old, he escaped, which is currently Northern Ireland, or in Ulster, and went back to his homeland in Britain when he was 22. So after acquiring that perspective and learning the Celtic or pagan ways and the Irish language, after a couple decades, when he was in his 40s, he became a Roman Catholic priest. So we're talking about the early, let's just say, probably the 430s. So around 432, he is told by God, he's told by an angel or God, same thing, probably God directly, in a dream, that he has to go to Ireland to save the Irish people, to convert them to Christianity. And so what he does, in 432, he brought the one. And that's a trick that Tim taught us. Tim said that a guy told him to say that. So in the year 432, St. Patrick brought the one, God. He brought God to Ireland. And his mission and his crusade, his campaign for the rest of his life, for the next 30 years, was to help convert the Irish pagans to Christianity. And St. Patrick knew, based on these pagans, these ancient Irish peoples, that they were not going to willingly accept him and allow him to come into Ireland and convert the Irish people to Christianity. St. Patrick many times had to encounter dangerous, violent scenarios where he was almost murdered many times by the Celtic chiefs or the Irish chiefs throughout the island of Ireland. But pursuing this goal of converting the Irish pagans for the next 30 years, and he traveled all across Ireland, primarily staying in the northern part of Ireland, which is currently Northern Ireland, or Ulster, for anybody who's Irish or British, regardless. But St. Patrick is a unifying figure in Ireland. And in the year 461, when he was in his 70s, he died in Northern Ireland, the place that he was kidnapped and taken to for 6 years as a slave in his youth. So when St. Patrick was riding in a cart, primarily in County Down currently, he died in the approximate location of Downpatrick. But what I forgot to mention is decades before, he opened and established the first Christian or Catholic church in Ireland, called Saul Church in County Down, which is very close to Downpatrick, where he died, and where he's currently buried. So when we went to Downpatrick, the St. Patrick's Center is in Downpatrick. But if you walk up the street a wee bit, you go to Down Cathedral. St. Patrick is buried, they guess, behind Down Cathedral. Now, St. Patrick could be buried anywhere, because the Irish, it is told that hundreds of years ago, the Irish reinterred him, dug him up, to hide his remains from the Norman invaders, because they were afraid, the Irish Catholics were afraid that the Vikings, the Normans, were going to come in and desecrate his body and desecrate his grave. So they exhumed him and then reburied him somewhere else. But that location has been unknown for hundreds of years. But there's a big stone that I got the picture taken of that says Patricius, which is in Latin Patrick. And when St. Patrick died, he said he wanted to be buried where he died, which is currently Downpatrick in County Down, Northern Ireland, aka Ulster. And so that he is buried approximately in that general region. But it was an honor and a privilege to be able to stand or kneel in the location that his body is assumed to be buried. Just that whole region and whole area alone. To promote it and to just basically endorse it, I will say that the tradition and the absolute aura of St. Patrick lives across Northern Ireland. And I absolutely encourage anybody in the United States or anybody across the world to go visit Northern Ireland or Ulster and learn about St. Patrick. St. Patrick is a unifying figure. And as we know about the bloody history of Northern Ireland or Ulster, we know that both the British Protestants and the Irish Catholics have been divided by religion and politics for hundreds of years. But regardless, St. Patrick is a unifying figure with both the Protestants and the Catholics. And St. Patrick is an amazing piece of Irish history. And not only Irish history, but also British history. And what St. Patrick did is he unified both the Christians and the pagans. And the symbolism, in my opinion, of St. Patrick, his identity and his aura and his example, in my opinion, should unify and bring together both the Irish and the British peoples, both Christian peoples, Catholics and Protestants. At the end of the day, not to preach at yins, but it really doesn't matter who's a British Protestant and who's an Irish Catholic at the end of the day. All that matters is that we're all children of Christ. We're all worshipers of Jesus Christ's principles, morals, and values. And as long as you're a Christian and you believe that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, at the end of the day, there's nothing that should divide us as children of God. So anyway, I'd like to say, with the bottom of my heart, as a Joyce, not only as an Irish Catholic, but as a descendant of British Protestants as well, both Irish and British ancestors and DNA, on this St. Patrick's Day, I would like to say Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Not just the Irish Catholics, but also the British Protestants as well. I love you all, and I encourage and endorse everybody to go visit Northern Ireland. No matter what your politics or religious values are or principles, you should go visit that part of Ireland. It was an amazing experience. And please go visit the St. Patrick's Center. Go visit Downpatrick. Visit the whole region in general. It genuinely changed my life, and I cannot wait to go back and visit because it is a genuinely amazing place to go. But anyway, regardless, in conclusion, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody across the world. I hope you have a great, amazing day. And please learn more about St. Patrick in Northern Ireland in general. But anyway, I'm Logan Joyce, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Peace out. Have a good day.